In a world where social connections are just a tap away and every moment seems to be captured and shared, one emotion that's plaguing the minds of many is FOMO. FOMO has become an epidemic in our modern society. But what exactly is FOMO that is making us constantly compare ourselves and feeling anxious about missing out? Before we explore FOMO, better your brain by hitting the subscribe button so we can continue to help you mind the golden mind. And make sure to watch until the end of the video so we can share some tips on how to start dealing with FOMO. So FOMO, aka the fear of missing out, refers to the anxiety or unease one experiences when they believe others are having more enjoyable experiences without them. It is characterized by a strong desire to stay connected and be present in all social activities and events. People often experience FOMO due to their fear of being left out, being isolated, or missing out on exciting opportunities. The phenomenon of FOMO is triggered by various factors in today's interconnected world. Some of these reasons are exactly why people have a fear of missing out. For one, there's the prevalence of social media. The rise of social media has created a constant stream of updates and highlights from other people's lives. We are always staring at an endless feed of photos and videos of different lives. From friends, acquaintances, to even strangers, we sit in our room almost like a bystander, watching as these people appear to participate in exciting activities or social events. This inevitably leads us to wonder whether we are living our life to the fullest and inevitably compare. Then that segues into the next part, which is comparison culture. Seeing others' curated and idealized lives online can make individuals feel inadequate or left out. Everything is comparable these days, whether it's achievements, appearances, possessions, social status. This incessant comparison cycle is fueled by social media, advertising, and a hyper-connected world that promotes constant comparison and competition. We feel pressure to meet certain standards or expectations set by society or their peers, leading to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and anxiety. And social media platforms has amplified this culture, as people curate and present carefully selected aspects of their lives, creating an illusion of perfection. Then there's the feeling of regret. Nobody wants to live a life they regret. We want to do the things we dream of, see the places we imagine, and live a life with absolutely no regrets. This is so deeply ingrained in all of us that we make words like YOLO, or you only live once, to justify decisions, even if they're downright stupid. Out of the hope to not regret, the fear that if we don't participate in a particular event, we may regret it later is a huge trigger for FOMO. And then there's also the need to stay connected. Much like the feeds of photos and videos of events going on, there's also a constant bombardment of information and content. Before in the past, we received the news through TV at a given time. But now the news cycle is always going as we are deluged by an endless stream of important news, updates, or trends. And if we aren't able to keep up with certain topical conversations amongst our peers, we feel like we're lagging behind, thus creating a sense of anxiety and triggering a constant need to stay connected. Beyond these causes, however, what is it that inherently makes us succumb to FOMO? Well, for one, it could be something called the hedonic treadmill. It is possible that the fear of missing out can be influenced by what's known as the hedonic treadmill phenomenon. Also known as the hedonic adaptation, this psychological phenomenon states that after experiencing a positive or negative event, humans tend to quickly return to a relatively stable state of happiness or well-being. The theory states that humans are said to have a natural set point for happiness that is determined largely by genetics and personality. When a person gets a promotion, buys a new car, or goes on vacation, they may initially feel happy and excited. But this feeling adapts over time, and soon enough, that initial boost in happiness diminishes as that baseline learns to adapt. So despite the significant changes in circumstances, nothing is ever the same. Whether it's gains or losses, positive or negative, the feeling we have at that moment can become a new norm, and the initial happiness or sadness fades. Then another psychological reason for FOMO could be the need for belonging. Having a sense of belonging and connection is one of the most fundamental needs of humans. According to evolution, humans evolved to be social creatures who live in groups and rely on social bonds to survive. Belonging to a social group provided protection, resources, and increased reproductive success. It is the best way for us to survive as a species, and so the need to belong has become ingrained in our psychological makeup. Belonging to some group or tribe also offers social support, whether that's emotional, informational, or intellectual. Social support plays a crucial role in our needs as it gives us a sense of intimacy and psychological safety. This helps people cope with stress, navigate challenges, and in general, promote a better sense of well-being. And finally, the need to belong is also linked in shaping and forming our identity as well as our self-esteem. Being part of a social group helps individuals define our identity, which contributes to our self-concept. If we belong to a group that shares our same values, interests, or beliefs, this can reinforce a positive sense of self and nurture the confidence within. So with all of this talk about why FOMO happens and the psychological factors affecting it, how do we actually deal with it? Since we can't always be tied down to this constant need to belong and anxiety that we should be doing or being somewhere, some of the best ways we can learn to deal with FOMO is, number one, prioritizing and setting boundaries. Clarifying personal values and priorities will help you make conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy. It gives you the flexibility of mind to focus on what is truly important. If you don't have any boundaries of when to say no and not being okay with that response, you'll always feel anxious when you feel like you're missing out. Secondly, try to limit social media. Consider that social media is one of the key factors causing FOMO. It's important to take breaks from using it. You need to reduce exposure to all of these carefully curated representations of other lives, and be aware that social media is not reality. Ultimately, social media should be used as a tool instead of our daily go-to. Thirdly, try to cultivate genuine connections. Quality over quantity in relationships is everything. We don't need to have the most amount of friends and be a part of every single event out there. If you foster the right, genuine connections with people that matter, this can help reduce the fear of missing out on social interactions. And finally, try to make sure you know yourself. Always learn to reflect on who you are, looking deep within yourself and discovering what you like, what you don't like, etc. Practicing mindfulness can be one way to do that, but also learning to appreciate what you have and exploring the limits of yourself can teach you about the world than any number of events you'll go to. So if you've liked this video, make sure to watch the video on the left to learn more about why knowing yourself is so important these days, and boost your brain and behavior by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel so we can continue to feed you nuggets of knowledge on brain and behavior.